Hey babes, my name's Hannah.
And my name's Chasity.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we're going to be telling you guys all about everything that we read in January. So we're going to be giving you our whole wrap up.
Yes, we started this year off strong.
We're both on track for our reading goal.
Which
our reading goals are very different. I think hers is literally double mine. So she read double the books this month than I did.
Yeah.
Okay. But I read 4, she read 8. So
I will start then.
Yes.
Okay, so the very first I'm not organized today. The very first one that I read this month was The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher, which if you guys watched, we have a Bookish Babel.
Is that up yet?
It's going up tomorrow.
Okay.
So it will be up by the time you watch this. So if you guys read this book, please go take a look at that video because we do some in-depth talking on that one. I do want to note that I felt like with The Wrong Family, she has like such a great talent of placing a lot of crumbs for this one, and I caught a lot more, I think, the first go around than I usually do. It usually takes me like 2 or 3 times before I piece everything together.
Yeah.
But I felt like this one I was really like with the story. Well, I've got a few notes here, but they pretty much are covered in the other video, and I don't want to like overdo it. So,
and this is kind of a good book to go into blindly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my notes for the end were just, what the hell did I just read?
Yeah.
So, typical Taryn fashion, she just left me speechless. But, so 5-star, my first read of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second one that I read this year was Mad Cruel World. It is an anthology and has short stories from several of my favorite indie authors. I really enjoyed this collection. It's a little bit harder for me to rate because, like Hannah has said before, it's really difficult to rate different stories in an anthology, but overall I did really enjoy the collection.
Yeah. So the first book I read, I'm not going to go into because it was The Wrong Family. I'll just say that I rated it 4.5 stars, and I think I talked about this in the book or in the video that we made of the book. The only reason I knocked off half the star, I loved it. I really did. I wanted to be shocked like more than I was. You know, Taryn calls herself like Twisty Taryn, and I felt like you said, I picked up on all the twists that were happening. And so that's why I knocked off half a star. But I mean, I've already bought it as a gift for people, and I keep still recommending it because I think it's still a really great book. If you don't read as many thrillers as we do, you maybe like wouldn't have picked up.
Yeah, I think that's probably a lot of it, is that we read so many thrillers that we are kind of looking for those things
and
now.
we read all her books.
Yeah.
We read them and we reread them and we reread them, so it's like we kind of have come to guess sometimes. I feel like it's probably our fault.
But sometimes I still guess wrong.
Yeah, right?
The next one I read was Time's Convert by Deborah Harkness. I did really enjoy Marcus and Phoebe's story. I really love them as a couple. I really, really liked seeing Phoebe as a vampire, like her transition. I know you have no idea what I'm talking about, but
spoiler. No, I'm just kidding.
Her transition, that's really not a spoiler. Once you meet that character in the series, it's not even a spoiler.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do have to say is I didn't love it as much as the other ones, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way Marcus's background was told, like his story was told. I think there were parts that were kind of just dragged out and not necessarily like move the story along, but I did enjoy it, and I do love both those characters, but I'm still waiting for my favorite characters to get a book. So I think I rated that one 4 stars. And then I think I'm gonna do another one.
Yeah.
Right in a row? Okay. The next one I read was Keeping Score by Dee Lagasse. I have some notes for this one. First of all, my very first note was I love the best friend's name because it is Salem.
Oh, your sister's name?
My sister's name.
I love that name too. If
I've never seen it in a book.
I keep telling her if my boyfriend would agree to it, like I would steal her sister's name for like a child that I might have in the future because I love the name Salem.
For sure. For sure. I definitely wish my mom would have named me Salem instead of Chasity. But, you know, it's okay. It's all right.
I got a good name for her, but it's fine.
This one caught me right away. The main character, Issa, oh my god, my little teenage emo heart was all about it. I was all about it. Her entire, like, character, I was like, that was me. That was me.
Oh, you related to her?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I definitely felt it. I really did adore these characters. I loved the mention of the music. Like, just my emo heart. The instant connection to both of the characters, like, even separately, I loved both of them. And then the only other thing I'm going to say about this is I love his nickname for her, which is Bug. I just loved it. I just loved it. I'm just giving you that without any kind of context. There's a reason for it, but I'm not going to tell you. Y'all go read the book.
So just disregard me. I'm a little congested today, but
she's not. She doesn't have COVID, guys.
No,
she just had a dumb moment.
I did. It's not important.
It's not important.
I had a run in with some dust on a bookshelf, so it's where I'm at right now. The second book I read was actually a Taryn Fisher recommendation, and it was Darling Rose Gold. This book was so good. So, as typically what happens with me with books, I started it, and it takes me a couple days to get into a book, but then I got about halfway through and I couldn't stop. I'm like, I read the rest of it, and like I had to stay up all night and read it because I was so interested in what was happening. This was like by far one of the most like fucked up books that I've ever read, and being inside these characters' minds was kind of a trip. I mentioned on our Facebook group that I love the contrast between like the super happy and light and girly cover and like the really dark contents of the book. Yes. I think that's really funny. Yes. But this is kind of, this isn't, once again, like a book that is good to go into blindly. It's about a girl who, like, her entire childhood, her mom made her believe that she was sick and dying, and she goes to prison for it. Yeah. And then when she gets out of prison, she wants to take revenge on her mom. And there were moments where you could see that both of their resolves were, like, wavering. Both of them had like soft moments towards each other because, I mean, at the end of the day, they are mother and daughter, and they had, you know, those feelings towards one another. Yeah, connection. But they also definitely had their own agendas, and I loved like every second of this book. She's borrowing it, so this will probably be in her wrap up next month.
Yes, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm ready to dive into.
I loved it.
So the next two are pretty heavy hitters. Me and Emma by Elizabeth Flock was one of the first ones I read. It came recommended from one of my friends, Jess. This book, So,
is this the one you told me to read? Is this the one you texted me about, or is it another one? Okay.
So I read them back to back.
Okay.
Which was god awful. Let's not do that again. Because it was some real trippy shit. Everything I was listening to or reading, like, was just shitty parents and awful children, and I just, my brain this month. Me and Emma was told from the point of view of Carrie, who was 7 or 8. I think she was 8. That was one of my favorite parts of the book, that it was told from her perspective, so you're seeing like little bits and pieces that you're coming to conclusions with, because you're an adult and you understand what's happening, but she doesn't really. So like you see a lot of stuff and you're like, it makes you feel so much more for the child, honestly, because like poor little babies, they still, like, she loved her mother, she wanted to make her mother happy. Her mother was a lazy piece of shit, okay, a lazy piece of shit who was just with like this dude that she was with. This dude, not even daddy, like daddy died, and I'm real sad that daddy died, because
this was a new dude.
This was a new dude, and let me tell you, he was named accurately because...
What was his name?
Richard.
Oh.
Fuck him. Okay? He got what he deserved.
Ooh.
But definitely, I mean, it was a good read. The ending fucked me all up. Like, fucked me all up, because I had a little inkling that something like that was gonna happen, but not to that extent. Yeah. That's about it. I've got my opinions on The Mother are garbage.
Would you rate it?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rated it a 4. It was harsh.
Yeah.
The next one's not any better. I have more.
Go ahead.
I think, okay. So, again, Jess came for me with them heavy hitters. Let me find my notes on this one. Okay. So the book's called We Need to Talk About Kevin. And boy, do we need to talk about Kevin.
This is the one she texted me
Yes.
about.
Lionel Shriver? Okay. First of all, one of the things I absolutely loved about this book, and this is not even context related, like the author, obviously it's a male, and he's like writing it from a female point of view, which is very difficult to do, and I have had problems with other books like doing this incorrectly or just blotching it, but he did really, really good.
Yeah.
And this book is really like just a really big testament of humanity. Like, can a child just come out evil?
Oh.
Or,
like nurture versus nature sort of
yes.
thing.
And, you know, after reading this, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. Because while it's told from the point of view of the mother, I definitely see a lot of flaws with both parents. Dad was completely oblivious to anything. He was in his own happy little bubble and he ignored all of the signs. While mom was like, there's something not right with our kid. Like, there's something really wrong with him. And dad's always telling her she's crazy. But at the same time, like, if you're reading it from her point of view, so you get all her inner thoughts, which she has questions. Like, she's not 100% sure she was cut out for motherhood. Okay, and these are human feelings, and I appreciate the rawness of it.
I'm sure it's a feeling that a lot of mothers have.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's even more amplified when you have a child that's like Kevin. Especially...
Does she, like, blame herself a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But then she starts to get to a point where she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Especially after she has a second child, and that child just seems to be fine.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's interesting. I want to read it now.
Well, and you find out very early on in the book that he's done some really bad shit.
The kid?
Kevin is in juvie.
Oh, Jesus.
But being tried as an adult, so I'll just leave that hanging.
Anyway.
Also, there was one thing that I felt like the way she spoke, she was very like, oh my god, I can't think of the word. They definitely sounded like they were above everyone else, like the way she spoke and the way the father spoke, and they were very presumptuous, and that was so, you know, it's all being told from her point of view. We really don't get anyone else's point of view throughout the book, so like maybe she did have more of an influence than she thinks. Maybe the other kid wasn't as great as she thinks. So I'm just kind of questioning life at this point.
I love books like that. Yeah. The next book that I read, I actually really enjoyed. It's a young adult, and I don't really read young adult anymore, but I knew that I wanted to pick it up because it was made into a movie, and I saw the commercials for the movie, and it looked really good. And it's something that I felt like it was important for me to read. It's called Unpregnant. I work for Planned Parenthood, and so I'm always wanting to educate myself on kind of women's stories and how I think it's really interesting how different women come to want or need an abortion, and especially like I feel like it helps me to provide better care, to kind of see it from their point of view. And so this is all about a young girl who's about to graduate high school, and she finds herself pregnant and she needs an abortion, and she lives in an area where it's just not readily available, especially to somebody of her age. She's 17, so she's underage, and her parents are religious, and so they're not going to sign for her to get an abortion. And so she has to go to a different state. She doesn't have a car. Her boyfriend's not supportive of her choice to do this.
She's just in a rut.
She is in a rut. And
The
so
biggest.
she ends up contacting an old friend of hers, and she's like one of the popular girls, and this old friend of hers is kind of like the outcast, so to say. And so she ends up kind of contacting this like old weird friend of hers and asks her to take her to a different state to get this procedure done. And it's funny, like it's hilarious, these two characters and how they kind of bounce jokes off of one another and everything like that. It's really funny, but it also deals with this very heavy issue really well. Like, I don't think it was necessarily skipped over like I was worried about it being, because you know, you read all these things on the back that says like it's hilarious and it's funny, and I was like, well, abortion isn't always funny, and so I was worried that they were just gonna skate over it, but they didn't. And
I appreciate that.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm giving this one to her too to borrow, and I think this is a really important book to read no matter what side of the pro-choice, anti-choice argument you're on, because it offers a little bit of insight on, you know, some women who wind up in the situation. So
Yeah,
I rated this
absolutely.
5 stars, not because I think it was like a huge work of literature, but because I think that it's such an important book to read, and it was done really well, and I appreciate that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. I've actually been eyeing it for a little while, but I don't really read young adult anymore
Me neither.
either, so I've been hemming and hawing. But I mean, since she's gonna let me borrow it, why not?
It's free.
Okay. So the next one I read was Sinner's Retreat by V.K. Ellis. So this one's kind of a short one, but I got it last week, and I got it, like, I came home from work and it was here, and I literally finished it that night. Like, I read the entire thing. And I was reading other stuff too, but I was like, ooh, let me just take a look. Well, I couldn't put it down.
Really?
This was one of her first ones. So this is also, V.K. Ellis is Victoria Ellis. She is writing all her thrillers under V.K. Ellis now, but you can definitely find a ton of links to her other books on my other videos. I was gonna say channels. I don't have other channels. So this book was like Clue meets Saw.
Oh, I don't like that. I love the Saw movies. I'm a big fan of the Saw movies.
So it was definitely like they get invited to this couples retreat type thing. They go to this Victorian mansion, and then they get locked in. And they pretty much have to play a game.
I love that.
And it was just the coolest concept, and such interesting and diverse characters. I loved it. Literally just ate it up.
I want to borrow that.
Yeah, you totally can. Totally can. Yeah. So this one was a 5-star for me, because I know it's not very long, but I typically don't read books in one sitting anymore. I just don't, like, I don't have the time for it, and honestly, I get so sleepy. But this one is, I was up till 4 in the morning because I was like, I need to know what's going on.
Yeah. So the last one I'm not going to go into all that much, because this was a reread for me, which is like the story of my life. Like, I have a million books on my TBR. I said I wasn't going to read any more romance, yet somehow I ended up picking up this one to reread again.
I mean,
and it's Fuck Love by Taryn Fisher. To be fair, her romances are
not
very romantic.
Really, no. Like, I love her romances, but they're not, I don't,
but
they're
for
more
whatever
like
reason,
contemporary.
yes, and they're very character driven, which I appreciate. I like randomly thought about this book the other day, and I was like, I really need to reread it now, and I did. I reread it in like 2 days. It's like one of my favorites by her. It's always a 5-star read for me. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on the channel before, so I'm not going to go into it. But if you are a fan of like kind of fucked up characters doing their thing and hurting other people, like I am always really into this book. Yeah, I really recommend picking that one up. I know.
Taryn.
It's all about like this girl.
I need to know
who
more about this.
Right. She basically, this girl like ends up having a dream that she's married to her best friend's boyfriend, And then the rest of the book kind of goes from there, and she can't stop thinking about this dream, and it's just a whole, she gets herself in a whole pile of shit because of it, and I love it.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
But it's not just her. It's him too.
Well, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
They hurt all these people because of this one dream that she had, and I think that's such an interesting concept.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. The last book that I read for this month is The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. I was lucky enough to get an advanced reader copy from netgalley.com for this one. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. God, I had like a crazy packed month. Because this one, also so character driven.
Yeah.
So interesting being inside Fern's head. She's definitely not your typical character. I think at one point in the book it says that she's on the spectrum. And she also has like really big, she has a sensory issue. Like she can't handle loud noises. She can't handle people touching her. The sun, any kind of lights. So like she wears, if she has to go out, she wears earplugs, and she has like swim goggles work better for her than sunglasses, and like it's a very interesting kind of thing. So she's not your typical character, but the whole story is about her and her sister. And her sister, they're twins, and her sister is more normal. So you're getting the story from Fern's point of view in today's day and age. And then you're getting some of it from Rose's, but Rose's point of view is told in a diary form.
Oh.
And it's told like, it's telling you what happened back then. And the first scene opens up and it just grabbed my attention. And it was like, Fern did something wrong. She caused the death of a boy, and it was like, I was like, oh, I gotta know what happens now. I just have to know what happens. And I was about 60 to 65% in when I started to think something was wrong with the other sister.
With good sister?
The good sister.
Oh.
So, it's
That's
the ending, caught me really off guard.
Yeah.
But I definitely ended up rooting for Fern at the end. Like,
yeah, I love weird characters.
Yeah. And I really loved it because she found like another weird character to be with.
Oh. Yeah,
like it was really cute. And they deserve all the happiness in the world. And I love them. But that's about it. I rated it 5 stars. I'm excited. I have another one of Sally Hepworth's books right now. I bought it at Second and Charles. I'm really excited to read that one now. Okay, so that is what we read in January. Fingers crossed that we keep up doing so good in February.
Yeah.
Because I really need to actually read the books that are on my TBR.
Me too.
Instead of just jumping around. But, you know, as long as we're reading, it's okay.
It's true. It is what it is. It's supposed to be for fun anyway. So.
Yeah, right. So that's all for us today. Make sure you comment down below. Tell us what you read in January and what you're planning to read in February, or if you have any recommendations for us. Hit that like button and subscribe, and definitely turn on that notification bell so that you know when we post next. But that's it for us today. Thanks. Bye. Bye.